speaker, Mr. Mohit Unyar. He is an instructor and a product engineer at Coding Blocks, Delhi. He graduated from Delhi University, skilled in machine learning and deep learning, and has been doing AI-based projects since the last 3 years. He has also served as a mentor for Google Code a TensorFlow organization. Apart from machine learning, he has interested in web development and also won many competitions. Hello, Mohit sir. Now it's over to you. Hello, Mohit sir. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the introduction. So shall we start, or should we wait for a few more minutes?
No. Start,
So
sir.
you just start.
Okay, so basically, students are joining, or like.
Sir, it's a live session.
Okay. Okay. Cool. So maybe I can share my screen, right? Okay. So I hope the screen is visible. So basically, the idea about the session is Python programming, right? I hope I'm right. So the content that we are going to cover is Python programming, right? And so basically, we'll first see some basic programs or basic Python coding, and then maybe we will try to create a project, a mini project in Python from web scraping, right? So web scraping is a content or a basically idea that we can understand, right? So let's do that. So if students are watching this live stream, so maybe obviously we need a Python ID, right? We need Python ID. So what we can do, let's search for basically just go to google.com, and you need to obviously log in your Google account. So just log in into your Google account, right? And then search for Google Colab, right? Search for Google Colab. So what exactly Google Colab is, we'll just talk about in a moment, right? And the first link that appears is basically that collab.research.google.com, right? So this is the link. So we can simply click on this link to Google Colab to move into or to go into the Google Colab, and we'll be redirected to Google Colab, right? So this is how Google Colab interface look like. So the first thing we need to do over here is we need to create a new notebook, right? So let's create a new notebook. Let's simply click over here, right? If you just simply click over here, it will create a new notebook. Or maybe like if by any chance you get cancelled and you're looking at something like this screen, you can go to File and create new notebook from here as well, right? So the idea is you just need to create new notebook, right? And then we will understand what is this notebook, what is this Google Colab, and so on things. Okay, so it will basically take a minute to load, and after that, once you are connected, it will show something like this, right? So like I just wanted to know how the student are actually watching. Can they ask doubts in between if it is possible? Or from where exactly they are watching, like on YouTube or something like that?
Sir,
Yeah.
please.
Yes.
So please repeat your.
Students join the Zoom link, and rest all are watching online live.
Online on YouTube, basically.
No. Yes, sir. YouTube. Yes.
So can they write their query or their doubt as well? So is it option to interact with the students?
No, sir. I don't think so.
Okay, no problem. Cool. So this is where we will actually write our code, right? So if basically students watch this session, so they understand what we are going to do, right? So okay, so this is where we actually write our code, and this is known as notebook, right? This is known as notebook. this is known as basically collab notebook, right? And why exactly collab? Collab stands for collaboratory. So by the way, this is Google server. So we are working on Google server right now. So what we are actually doing is, obviously, if you want to execute C code or C++ code or Java code, you need to download these software, these languages, right? For C or C++, you need to download the compilers, right? For Java, you need to download JDK, JVM, all these steps, right? Similarly, if you want to execute Python on your machine, on your laptop, on your desktop, on your computer, you need to download Python. If you do not download Python, you will not be able to run code. But what we want to do right now is, see, downloading Python can be one way to work around in Python code, but we don't want to download Python right now. What we want to do is we want to use something known as Google Colab. So we want to use Google Colab. So what is Google Colab? Google Colab is something like a virtual machine, right? It's a virtual machine on Google server. So once you click on new notebook, it gives you a virtual machine, right? So this virtual machine has Python already installed. So this machine has Python already installed. So you don't need to install Python on your system, right? So you can write your Python code over here, and the whole code will be saved in your Google Drive. So after once you're finished with this code, and if you want to see the same code again, you can go to Google Drive and you can check the same code, right? So this is basically the Google Colab, right? So the first thing you need to do after this after opening this kind of a structure is connect on this button. So see on the top right, there is a button called connect, right? So you need to click on this button, connect. Let's click on the connect. What connect will do? It will give you a virtual machine. For example, let's suppose these are the Google server, and in the Google server, there can be lot of virtual machines. Now the virtual machine also look like a real machine. It also has a RAM, it also has the hard disk, it also has some softwares installed, right? But this machine will be allocated to you for some time, for some specific time. Don't think that you are getting the whole virtual machine for lifetime. You're not getting it for lifetime, maybe just because maybe for around 12 hours. You're getting this virtual machine for 12 hours, right? So if you hover over this, you see the Python connected to Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend. RAM is basically 12 GB. You see, RAM is 12 GB. If you can see, the hard disk is 108 GB hard disk. So you are basically connected with a virtual computer or virtual laptop or virtual machine that has already Python installed. So now you don't need to install the Python. Cool, right? So over here, we will write our code. And one more thing, we obviously give a name to our notebooks, right? Or files. Whenever we create any files, we give names, right? So this is that name we can give. So right now it says untitled1. Obviously, I don't want to give this name. Maybe I can change it to Python workshop, something like that. You can give name according to whatever you want, right? So that would be okay. After this, you are now ready, or you are now good to go with writing the Python commands. So let's understand the Python commands, or let's understand the Python language. So the first thing we always start in any language is hello world. I hope everyone know this, right? So first thing we start with is hello world. So how do we print something? Like in C language, C++, we have cout. In C language, we have printf. In Python, we have a function called print. That's it. As simple as that. There's no need to write header file or int main and so on, other stuff, right? If you write print and inside it, you just need to give hello world. And that's it. As simple as that. Right? So, cool. So I hope you got the idea. So this is the code. Now, in other languages like C, C++, Java, what we generally do is we write the complete program. For example, we write a 10 line of code, or maybe like 20 line of code, 50 line of code. We write the whole program first, and then we execute or the compile or runtime that everything happens at one go, right? But in Python, what you can do, you can just write one line of command and execute it. It's as simple as that, right? By the way, Python is known as interpreted language, right? So you can, if you have written one line, you can execute it, right? As you have written, you just execute. No need to write the first 50 line of code and then execute, right? So how to execute this command, or how to execute this code? So this we can do by clicking on this button called run. This cell or this button is called run button. Just click on this and you will see the output, right? As you can see, the hello world has been printed. By the way, there's another way of running this cell, right? And this thing is called cell. This block, you see this block where we actually writing our code or we are getting some output. This is known as cell. This is known as a cell. So we can also write comments in Python. Generally, comments start with two forward slashes, right? But in Python, comments start with hash, right? So this sign is for comment, and let's write comment something like printing something, printing, right? And by the way, like if you want to execute the command or the code, Python code, it's not necessary that every time you will click this button. So what I generally do is, or what people do is, they hold shift and then press enter. Something like just hold shift, keep pressing the shift, and then press enter. So like this, it will be executed again. Let's suppose if I want to change like from hello world to hello students, hold shift and press enter. So this is how you can run any cell. So how to run cell? How to run cell? Either you click on this button or you do shift plus enter. Cool. So let's move forward. Let's create variables. So I'm writing, let's create variables. In languages like C or C++ or Java, we write int I, or maybe I is equal to 10, something like this, right? And one thing is, we do not require semicolons. Semicolon are optional, right? So you can ignore the semicolon. It's totally fine. So let's ignore the semicolon. Let's remove semicolon. And after that, let's also remove the data type. There's no need to provide explicit data type to any variable in Python. You see, there's no data type. Now, if I execute this, it will be perfectly fine. This is a valid statement. In Python, this is a valid statement. So what this statement is actually doing is, it is creating a variable I, and it is giving value of 10 to this, right? As simple as that. That's it. Now, if you want to use this variable I, how do you use? In the next cell, maybe I can write print I. That's it. And how to run this? Shift enter. Just hold the shift and press enter. What it will print? Hopefully everyone know 10. Why? Because the value of I is 10. Okay, so just one thing, that I haven't given any data type to this variable. I have not given integer. I have not given char, float, double, something like that. Does it mean that Python does not support data type? The answer is no. Python do have data type. Python has support of data type, but the type they automatically take from the whatever value you give. For example, if you give the integer, the data type will automatically be integer. If you give float, it will be, the data type will automatically be float, right? So it will take implicitly, automatically. By the way, there's a one way to check what is the type of any variable. What is the data type? So the function known as type. I can check the type of I, right? I can write type. So type basically will tell you the data type. So it will, I can write a comment. It will tell you the type of, or the data type, tell you the data type of the variable. So I can write the type of what? I. I is a variable. I want to understand the type of I. So let's execute this. It says integer, as simple as that, right? Okay. I hope this part is clear. In languages like C, C++, I'm comparing C, C++ or Java language because most of you are familiar with it, right? So generally in first semester, we study C language and then we study C++ or Java, something like that. So that's why I'm comparing every time we compare Java with C or C++. So how we used to do in C, C++ and now how we are doing in Python. Okay, so in other languages, like if you have created a variable of type integer, you cannot assign string or float or character or boolean to that variable, something like this. If you have a variable in C++ like this, int x is equal to 10, you cannot say that x is equal to y with a character. So although this is character, no, and x is integer, so you cannot do this. But in Python, it's very easy, right? Right now we know I is a integer, but if I write I is, let's say, Python is fun, it, this is string, right? This is string. It will be executed as simple as that, right? There's no error. Why? Because Python support this feature that you can change the data type. That's it. Now if you want to print I, it will be simple. Print I. Earlier I was 10. I variable had the value 10. Now it's Python is fun. So string, the integer got changed to string. Okay, so let's move ahead. And by the way, like if I check what is the type of I now, earlier it was integer, now it is string. As simple as that. Correct? So this is one small part, the basic of any Python language. Generally, we do if else, for loop, and other that type of stuff, right? Also, right? So let's go to if else, because that is also important. By the way, this is known as code cell because we are writing code over here. You see, You see, we are writing code inside this cell. But if I hover over there, you see there are two things. There are two options. One is called code, other one is called text. If I click on code, it will basically increase the code cell. You can write a lot of code over here, right? But if you click on this text, it will basically give you a text cell where you can write a normal a definition or explanation or headings, right? So maybe I can write a heading like this is heading button, this is heading. If I click on this, I can write heading. So something like maybe I can say something like control flow. Let's write control flow. Now if I execute, it becomes like a heading. You see, it looks like a heading only. And that's why it is known as notebook, because in notebook we can write code and also we can write some documentation or explanation and some kind of that stuff, right? Okay. So in control flow, generally we have this if else condition and then that loops and all that stuff, right? So how do we write if else? Let's understand that. Let's suppose I'm creating a variable age and I'm giving any value, let's say 14. I can do that, right? And then maybe I can write if else. So I'll write if age is greater than equal to 18. Now in languages like C++ or Java, we used to put this parenthesis. Why parenthesis? Parenthesis is used to basically put a block, right? Wherever you see parenthesis, it means you're creating a block. I hope everyone understand what is block, right? And then we used to do this else, and then again parenthesis and again else block, right? But in Python, we don't have parenthesis. If you want to create a block, what you need to do is you need to simply put a colon, right? If you simply put a colon, it will create a block. And you see there are automatically indentation there. So now you can write, if the age is greater than 18, you can say you are eligible to vote. And similarly, in the else part, you don't need to put this parenthesis. You simply need to put a colon, and then you can write print you are, let's say, go home kid, go home kid. So he's not eligible to vote, something of that sort, right? So if the age is 14 right now, it will print go home kid, as we know, right? The basic logic, right? If the age is, let's suppose, 24, it will print you are eligible to vote, right? By the way, like if I want to write multiple statements in if or maybe in else, I can also write that something like you can say I am inside if block. So very important thing is known as indentation. You need to be take care of the proper indentation. You see, both of these print are in the one line only. Why they are in one line? What if if I just give one more tab? Can I do that? Let's try to execute and let's see what happens. So if I execute it right now, it says that indentation error. So it will not allow you to write your code like this, because Python is very strict language in case of indentation. You cannot write it anywhere, right? Similarly, you cannot write it, I guess, over here as well. You cannot write, because it will give you error in the else part. You see, you're getting an error. So it is very strict that indentation you need to follow very strictly. So the indentation should be same. Whatever you are writing inside the else block, if block, that should have the same indentation, right? Similarly, if you write it over here as well, like print I'm inside else, and if you execute it right now, obviously the else part will not be executed right now because the condition is true, so it will be executing the if part. But let's say if you give it one step backward, now this is not inside else. This part, this line is not inside the else block. We need to be very careful about this, right? So if I execute it right now, it will also be printed I'm inside else, right? But you are not inside else. So why is it printing? It is printing because it is outside if else. It's like you're done with if else and then you are writing C out. It's like that, right? So it's outside if else. So if you want to keep it inside else, you need to give the proper indentation. Yeah, that's how we can write if else, correct? There's also thing called else if in languages like C++ or Java. In Python, we have, instead of else if, we have just simple called elif. Elif, the keyword called elif, something like this. If I write if, elif age is less than 5, if he's like very young, if his age is less than 5, then maybe we can say grow up fast. right? So if your age is, let's say, 2, correct? If your age is, let's say, 2, so it will say grow up first. If your age is 25, it will say you are eligible to vote. If your age is, let's say, 17, it will say go home kid and I'm inside else. So as simple as that, right? Just the syntax change and the logic is still same that that you have implemented in C++ or any other language, right? Okay, so this was the control flow if else. Now let's talk about basic type of loops, right? Let's say I want to write I is equal to 0, a variable, very basic variable I is equal to 0, right? I can do that. I can write while something like this, while I less than equal to 10, and I don't need to put this parenthesis because parenthesis we don't have in Python. What we have is colon. So we'll write colon and then we'll print I. And obviously one more step is required, that is I equal to I plus 1. So don't do I plus plus. I plus plus is not there in Python. So if you do I plus plus, this will not be executed. I don't know why they didn't keep I plus plus, but you can do I plus equal to 1 if you want. If you want shorter syntax, that would be fine. So can anyone expect or give me the answer what this block will result? What will be the output of this block? Okay, so most probably everyone know about it. It will print from 0 to 10. So if I execute it, it print from 0 to 10 as we simple know about it. Right? And by the way, like if we want to print it in single line, why they are printing in new line every time? I'm not giving slash n, right? I'm not giving slash n or maybe endl. I'm not writing this. So why is it printing into new line? So there's a parameter in this print function. The parameter is called end. You see, the parameter is called end, and the end is by default slash n, and that's why the whatever you're printing, it is printing in the new line. So what we need to do is we need to change this end parameter from slash n to space. Now, if you execute it, everything will be printed in just one line. As simple as that, right? So okay, uh, you understand this. Similarly, there's also a while loop. So for the while loop, what we can no for loop. For the for loop, what we can do, I can write for the placeholder like I, P, L, K, M, X, whatever variable name you want to give. Some like most of the times I write ELE. ELE is for the element. I prefer ELE, writing ELE, right? So I can say for ELE in range 3 to 13, let's say from 3 to 13 or maybe 3 to 19, and then simple print ELE. So what this will do, okay, let's understand what this range function does. What is this range? What is this range 3 to 19? What does this range 3 to 19 will do? Right? Let's understand this. So range 3 to 19, what it will do, it will generate numbers like 3, 4, 5 till 19. Oh, 19 will not be included. It will take till 18 only. So it's something like 3 is included and 19 is excluded. Right? So 19, the last part is always excluded. Okay. Uh, so after this, what this EL is doing, EL is taking the value. So first time in the first iteration, EL is taking 3. Second time, EL is taking 4. Third, EL is taking 5, and so on and so forth. Right? So if I execute it now, it will print from 3 to 18 as we have expected. And in a single line, if you want to print, you can print something like give end is equal to like space and a comma also. It will put comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma till 18 comma, right? It will not print 19, right? So okay, now if I want to print the even numbers only, I can say if element mod 2 equal to 0. As simple as that, right? I hope everyone know about this. What is this mod? What is this mod operator? What this line is doing? This is checking the remainder. Let's suppose the number is 11. It will divide by 2 and then it will check the remainder. What is the remainder? Remainder is 1. So if it is not 0, like if it is 0, then it will only print. If it is not 0, if it is 1, then it will not print. Simple, right? So if you execute this, it will print all the even number between 3 to 19. Basically what it is doing, it is printing all the even numbers, between 3 and 19, and obviously 19 will not be included, that we know, right? Because that is the exclusive range. Okay, Okay. Okay. Let's move to some other part of Python, right? So iteration you understand, for loop, if else, that you understand. Let's move to something called inbuilt data structures. We can start with, right? If there's something left, we can definitely pick up it later, right? When we actually create programs for doing the web scraping using Python, right? Mini project kind of stuff. Then we can pick up anything that is left in Python. Obviously, Python cannot be done, like the whole Python cannot be done in just 2 hours. Python take time, right? Maybe it will take 20 hours to complete the whole Python, all the components of Python, right? So but it is easy to understand. Python is easy to understand, and you can grasp what is there in Python in just 2 hours. So basically you can have an overview of Python in 2 hours. So let's talk about the inbuilt data structures. So I will include the text cell over here, and the heading should be Python. I'll write Python inbuilt data structures. Okay, the spelling mistake, right? So there are few data structures that we have in Python. For example, one is called list, one is called tuple, one is called set, and maybe one is called dictionary. So these are the very popular inbuilt data structures in Python, right? And we are going to talk about them. We are going to talk about each of them. We are going to talk about list, tuple, set, and dictionary, right? Okay. So now let's understand the list. So list is something like okay. Let's first understand what is data structures. No, so data structures is basically how you manage your data. How do you store your data? How do you delete your data? Insert your data? How do you retrieve data? Whatever you want to do with the data, right? For example, if you have a marks of 100 students, how would you store that marks of 100 students? You cannot create 100 variables. What you have to do is you have to find something called array. You have to use array, right? Array in Python is same as list, right? So we'll understand about list. So list is exactly, basically the list is sequence of numbers or sequence of character or something like that, right? So it's like an array in C++ or Java, but it has some difference between array and list. We will understand the difference also, but let's understand the basic of list. So how do we create a list? List is creating, like I'm creating a variable lst, and I'm writing in the square bracket. List is always creating with square bracket. I can write numbers like or whatever numbers you want to give, right? Whatever numbers you want to give, you can easily give all the numbers, right? Now if I execute this, the list will be created. Okay, if you want to print the list, you can print it like this, right? Okay, moving forward, if you want to see the type, can anyone just give me the answer? What will be the type of lst? If I write what is the type of lst, so it's kind of an array, but not exactly array, it's a list, right? So what is the type of lst? It should be, let's see, most of you are, I guess, expecting it to be integer because it is containing integer numbers, but this is not the case. Python says that everything is a list. Like, what if you're creating a list, it does not matter what element you're storing, it will be a list. That's it. Python is saying it will be a list. I do not, it does not care about the element inside it. And by the way, the list in Python can be heterogeneous. Now, what is heterogeneous? Heterogeneous means you can have different type of elements in a list. Like you can store float, integer together. You can store string. You can store character, boolean. You can store everything in list, right? Even you can store another list inside one list, because lists are heterogeneous, and the list will only, the type of it will be the list. It will not be integer or the float or so on things. Okay, now let's understand how to access any element. I hope everyone know that indexing, there is something known as indexing. What is indexing? How do you access any element inside the list? So if you want to access the first element, it will be accessed with the help of index 0. The second will be index 1, and this will be 2, 3, 4, and this is index 5. So if you want to access the any element, let's write print. How would you write? LST of 0. It will give you the first element, as simple as that, right? Similarly, if you write print LST of, LST is the list name, I hope everyone know. LST of 3, it will give you 9. right? As simple as that. So this is basically known as indexing or accessing any element, accessing or indexing elements, right? If I want to check how many elements are there, total elements, there's a function called length. There's a function called length of LST. You can use length of LST and it will give you all the element, or like the total number of element, I would say. Right? So how many elements are there? Total elements are 3 and 3 are 6. So there are total of 6 elements, and that's why it is giving 6. Now, if you want to access the last element, so always remember the last element will have length of list minus 1. Why? Because indexing start with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So length of list minus 1 means 5 minus 1, that will become 6, right? So if you want to generalize, you can write something like print, lst length inside the square bracket. You see inside the square bracket where you actually write the index, you can write length of lst minus 1. So this will be evaluated first. Length of list will minus 1 will be evaluated. So what is length of list? It's 6. What is minus 1? It will become 5. So it will basically access the fifth element, or like the index where index is 5. And where the index is 5? The last element, right? So this is how generally we access the last element, but this is a very bad method. So there is a new method called negative indexing. There's a new thing called negative indexing. So what does negative indexing says? Negative indexing says that writing this, okay, I can copy this whole thing. Negative indexing says writing this length of list is optional. You can ignore this one. Simply you can ignore this one and just simple write minus 1. And it will still access the last element, which is 8. Right? So that's how basically it is printing. Right? So if you want to, so there are two ways of accessing any element. If you want to access element, you can go from left to right. That is known as forward indexing. This will be known as forward indexing, right? So this will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is another way. You can go from backward, and this is known as negative indexing. Negative indexing, right? So the last element will be minus 1. It's not 0. The second last will be minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, so and so forth, right? So there are two ways of indexing. Generally, if you want to access the last element or second last element or third last element, we write the minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, and so on and so forth. If you want to access the few first element, then you write 0, 1, 2, something like that, right? I hope you got the idea, a very basic idea. Okay. Let's add some more code cell so that we can have some space to write more code. Okay, so moving forward, if I print again, if I print LST, I can see this is my complete list. Okay, okay. If I want to access this first element, how do I generally do? List of 0, right? But if I want to change it from 5 to 50, what I will do is I'll write 50 over here, something like this. So this is changing elements inside a list, in a list basically. So if I write LST of 0 and assign a new value like 50, the first element will be changed to 50, right? So maybe you can print it now. Simple, let's print LST and you will see the first element will be changed to 50. As simple as that, right? Okay, so let's move forward. Let's see for a few important functions that are associated with the list. So there are a lot of functions that are there with the list. So if you write LST dot, just write LST dot and you see a lot of functions are there, right? As you can clearly see, one is called append, clear, count, copy, insert, sort, reverse, pop. You see lot of functions are there. So let's use this function called append, right? So if you create this functions like two parentheses, it basically tells you what it does. So it receives an object, it receives it receives a parameter, and it will append the object to the end of the list. So if I give, let's suppose 100 over here, what it will do? It will take 100 and it will append or add 100 at the end of the list, right? So let's suppose I have executed and let's see what is print of LST. So the 100 will be appended at the end, as simple as that, right? Okay. If you see LST dot, there are some other functions, like there's a function called insert. Now you have to tell me what insert will do. Just look at this small documentation and tell me what insert will do. So think about it. So insert basically it takes or it receives two parameter. One is called index and one is object. So what it does is it inserts the object before the index. For example, if I give, let's suppose 2 and I give, let's say 99. So what it will do, it will insert 99 before index 2. So this is index 1, this is index 0, this is index 1, this is index 2. So it will insert 99 before index 2 over here, like between 7 and 2. Between 7 and 2, it will insert 99. So let's see if it does or if it works or not. So this is done. Let's print LST. Now you can see 99 has been appended. 99 has been appended or has been inserted between 7 and 2, right? So as you can see, so that's insert function. Similarly, there are a lot of functions. I think you can go to each function and understand what they are doing, right? For example, let's say there's a function called pop. I don't think there's no need, there's a need to tell about what pop function will do, but let's do what pop functions will do. So if you write lst.pop, it will return you the last element, right? It will return you the last element, and it, by the way, it deletes the element. Pop basically means deleting the element. If you print lst now, 100 will be removed. You see 100 will be removed, right? 100 is removed. So a lot of functions are there. Maybe you can just play around with these functions. For example, there is a function called sort. What sort function will do? It will sort the list in ascending order, right? So if you check print lst, right? So the element or the list has been sorted. Easy, right? Cool. So these are the few functions, and obviously you can explore more functions from this small documentation. Just write lst dot, and let's see what all functions are there, and you can choose any one functions, and you can just explore about that function, right? Okay, so we were talking about list, and we said that there's a difference between list and array. Although it looked like an array also, right? It looked like a C++ or a Java array, but it is not exactly like an array. There's a difference between array and list. So the difference is lists are heterogeneous. List can contain multiple different type of elements. So if I do something like this, maybe list new, I'm creating a new list and I will create a heterogeneous list. So how do I create heterogeneous? Maybe I can write hello world. This is one element. Maybe I can then write 5, 9, 100. Then I can write another list like 10, 20, 30. I can write true. I can write true, which is a Boolean value. I can write 9.86. So you see multiple type of elements can be provided in a list, and that is perfectly okay. You can do that. Right? You can do that. Okay. Just a second. Okay. So if I execute this, it will be perfectly fine. It will not give you any error, right? As you can see, I have executed, and if you want to print it, you can also print. That's okay. That's totally fine, right? And the type will also be the type of list new will be only list. It is not the combination of all these elements. It is only list. Cool. So by the way, you can also iterate over them. So you can write something like for ele in list new. So list new has few elements. So how many elements are there? One. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this whole is 5, this is 6, this is 7. So there are total of 7 elements. Now you can iterate over these elements, right? You can iterate over these elements using for loop. So you can write for ele in list new and then print. Okay, by mistake I have just executed. Let's print ele. So you see, every time it is printing one element. Like first it is printing hello world, then 5, then 9, then 100, then this list, another list, then true, then 9.86, so on and so forth, right? So you see that how easy it is to create something like a heterogeneous list. Or by the way, you can also create 2D lists also. you can do something like this as well. So let's suppose 1 2 3 and comma 4 5 6 comma 7 8 9. This will be 2D list, right? You can also do this type of list as well, right? Okay, so I think this is it about list. So we have discussed all the necessary things in list. By the way, like list is a huge topic in Python. So this is not the end of the list. Obviously, there are a lot of other things in list as well, but we are not going to let that advanced thing because we need to cover a lot of other content as well, right? So let's move to a new thing, a new data structure that is tuple. That is known as tuple, right? So let's move to this data structures. So let's understand what is tuple. Okay, so if I check, give me a second. Okay, so let's move to tuples. So tuples and list are almost similar things. So there are very slight difference between tuple and list. So the only difference between tuple and list is tuples are immutable. It means you cannot change the element if you have created inside the tuple, right? Whereas list are mutable, means if you have created any element in the list, you can change that. We have already seen, no? Earlier it was 5. It was 5. Where? Yeah, it was 5, and then we changed it to 50. But if this would have been the tuple, then it would not be possible. Why? Because tuples are immutable. Tuple does not support the item assignment. You cannot change the tuple once you have created. So something like this. Let's see how to create tuple first, right? Let's understand how to create tuple. So tuples we can generally create by writing. Let's say tup is a variable name. Tup is a variable name, and generally list we create using square bracket, as everyone know. List we create using square bracket, but tuple we create using parenthesis, and we can give parameters like or numbers like 8, 7, 2, 3, whatever number you want to give, right? That's it. So this is a tuple. How can we confirm this is a tuple? Let's ask. First, let's print tuple tup, and then let's ask what is the type of tup. So it will say tup is the tuple. Same, right? Now, if you want to access any element, you can write this thing, print tup of -1. If you want to access the last element, which is 3. If you want to access the first element, which is 0, you can write tup of tup of 0, right? Which is 8 and last 3. But if you want to change the first element from 8 to 80, that is not possible. If you try to do this, tup of 0, and I want to change it, which is right now 8, I want to change it to 80, this will give you an error. So it says that tuple object does not support item assignment, right? Because you cannot change it. Simple. Because tuples are immutable. Immutable basically means the things that you cannot change. That's why. What more things you can do? By the way, there is no specific other reasons of tuples, but you can ask why we use tuples if we have list. List give you the mutability. Sometimes it is important to store our data that are immutable object. Why? Let's suppose salaries of employee. Now you do not want anyone to come and change the salary of employee, obviously, right? For example, there are some constant values like value of pi. So constant value you do not want them to change. So what you can do, you can store them in tuples, right? So if you want anything that should not be changed, store them in tuple. That's the purpose or the use of Okay, so I hope you got the idea what we have in tuple. Tuple just do not have a lot of functions. If you write a tup dot, you see there are not a lot of functions. Only 2 functions, count and index, and generally we don't use them. Right? Only 2 functions are there. So you see that there are not a lot of functions in tuples. So tuples are a very basic, simple, very simple data structures. Now let's move to another data structures known as set. Where is set? Yeah, this one. So if you have studied set in your class 11th, the same set theory, right? The same thing we have in Python. Now, what is a set? Set is basically the element of the collection of unique elements. I would say the collection of unique elements, right? So if you want something to be unique, if you want there are a lot of elements, but if you want only unique elements, you will put them inside the set. Then there are some operations like set union, right? Set intersection, if you remember, set difference, symmetric difference, right? All these set operations are there. You can perform, you can perform them as well in Python. So let's understand how do we create set. Right? Let's do that. So generally set is created, I will write maybe like S1. Let's write simple S. So S will be set, and set will be created using these parentheses, right? So if I write like 7, 4, 3, 2, 1, 8, 7, 3, 5, 1, 0, 9. If I write all these numbers and I execute them, first let's print S. So you see S is the unique numbers only. You see, S is the unique number. Like this, you see, 7 is repeated multiple times, 2 times. 7 is repeated 2 times. Similarly, 1 is repeated 2 times. But over here, you are only seeing or looking at 1 only 1 times. Similarly, 7 is also appearing only 1 time. So what does set do? Set contain only the unique element, only unique elements, right? That is the purpose of set. Okay, if you ask what is the type of S, obviously it will be set. By the way, set are not indexable. You cannot write this thing. You cannot say set of 0. You cannot find the 0th element, right? You cannot find 0th element. Similarly, you cannot write -1 for finding the last element because they are unordered. They are unordered. It might happen that this is not the order in your code. If you execute the same code, you might have some different order, right? Because sets are always unordered. That's why it says that set object is not subscriptable. So you are writing this subscription, no? S0. You cannot write this S0. You cannot do this, right? Indexable is not there in the set. Maybe let me just create one more set and then I can show you how to do the set operations like union and intersection or other stuffs. Let's write S2. So maybe this is S, and let's write S2, and this will be something like 1, 5, 6, 13, 15, 8, 2, and other stuffs, right? So on. Maybe like again 5 is there, something like that. Okay, if I execute this, successfully executed now, print S2, this will be this thing. Okay, now there are two sets. Maybe I can print S1 also, no? Let's print S1 also. Let's print S1 also. Let's print S1, S2, both of them. What happened? Oh, S1 is not there, S is there. Simple S. S1 is not there, obviously. Okay, so this is S1, this is S basically, not S1. This is S, and this is S2. The second one is S2. Now, if I find the union of the element or union of the both set, I hope everyone understand what is union. So how do I find the union? I can write S dot, and let's see what all functions we have. You see, a lot of functions are there. One is called remove, is subset, is disjoint set, is discard, difference, copy. Where is union? There is union, you see, right? So now you provide S dot union and S2, and you will get all the union, right? All the elements either in the S or S2, right? So this is union. Similarly, if you find the intersection, if you write S dot intersection S2, you'll find the intersection, as simple as that. If you find the difference, S dot difference. If you find the difference between S2, you will find the S1 minus S2. Something like if this is S1, this is S, not S1. If this is S2, there are some elements that are common. There are some elements that are not common. So if you find s dot s1, so what will happen? S dot s1 will give you this thing. So s minus s2, I'm saying this if you want to find the difference, right? So it will delete all the s2 element from s1 and it will be just this part only. I hope you understand what is self difference, right? Or something like that. Okay, there are no very specific use of set. We generally use it only for finding the unique element. That's it. Right. Now let's come to the last data structure, that is our dictionary, right? And this is one of the most important data structure in Python, right? This is one of the most important data structures. Okay, so let's understand about dictionary. So let's understand about dictionary. So dictionary are something like hash map in Java. If you know Java, if you don't know Java, that's perfectly fine. But it's like a hash map in Java, right? Or objects in JavaScript. Those who know JavaScript, it's called object, right? Or maybe there's a thing called JSON. JSON is JavaScript object notation. It is used, this notation is used to transfer the data over the internet, like from server to client and the client to server. You need to pass the data and you use, generally we use JSON in the web development, right? So how do we understand, how do we create dictionary? And what is the purpose of dictionary, that we will also understand, right? So always remember the data that is stored in dictionary is in the format of keys and values. So I will write keys colon values. The data is stored in this format, key colon value. So let's understand how to create dictionary. So I'll write DIC. I'll write DIC. And DIC is a variable name. And again, you put the parenthesis. And over here, let's say, oh, by the way, like let's not write DIC. Let's say food menu or the canteen menu. Let's write canteen menu. I want to create a table. I want to create a table something like this. It will have the item and it will have the price. For example, samosa has a price of 10 rupees. Let's say pizza has a price of, let's say, 100 rupees. I think this marker is not working fine. And then let's say burger has a price of 25, right? And what we can do, this table is there. Now I need to store this table. I need to somehow store this table. So what I'll do is I'll create a dictionary. So I'll say that canteen menu, this is the canteen menu. And I will write samosa is for rupees 10. If you remember, this is the key. This is called key. And this is the value, right? This is the key. This is the value. So value is, by the way, the price. And the key is the item. Right? And now I put a comma. Why? Because I need to enter the second entry or the second column or the second row. Now I need to add pizza. So let's say pizza is for 100 rupees. Then burger. Burger is for like 25 rupees. Right? So I only have 3 elements right now. I only have 3 elements or 3 items in the canteen menu. Now, if you print this whole canteen menu, you will get the whole table. Like you see, you are getting the complete instruction or the complete data. For example, samosa has a price of 10 rupees, pizza has a price of 100 rupees, burger has a price of 25 rupees. You're getting the complete data. But let's say you don't want the complete data. Sometimes this data can be very huge, can be very massive. For example, 100,000 rows, right? Maybe 1 lakh or 1 million, 1 billion elements. So if you find one element out of 1 billion or 1 million, it will be very non-trivial. It's not trivially easy to find one element out of 1 billion. So what you do is you say that I do not want all the element. I want only one element. So what you do is, by the way, let's also check what is the type of dictionary, what is the type of canteen menu. And most probably it will say the dictionary, right? DICT for dictionary. Okay. So if you want to access only one element, we are saying if you want to access only one element, right? So how can we access only one element? Let's understand that. So I'll ask that canteen menu. So it's like something canteen wale bhaiya, right? So you ask for pizza. Just in the square bracket, just write pizza and enter, and they will give you the pizza price. Similarly, if you ask the price of, let's say, canteen menu, you say canteen menu, I need the price of, let's say, burger. Just add right burger and you will get the price of burger. So you're not getting the whole data, the 100 rows, maybe 1,000 rows, 1 lakh rows, 1 million rows. You're not getting that, right? So this is just one idea how you can get. Let's say I want fruits. Canteen menu may be fruits nahi hai. I want fruits, but I want fruits. Let's execute this. What it will give? Obviously, canteen bhaiya will say that fruits are not there. So this says that key error, fruits are not there. But now I want to add fruits. What I can do? I want to add fruits. No, I will write canteen menu fruits is equal to, now I need to give the price of fruits. Let's say fruits price is 40 rupees, right? And if you check the dictionary, if you check the canteen menu now, so you see the fruits has been added, right? Now you can ask for fruits. Now you can say canteen bhaiya give me fruits or tell me the price of fruits. That's it. Simple. So this is how basically you can add elements, right? So this is how you add the elements to the dictionary or to something like that. And by the way, like whatever I'm putting it in value, you see all these are numbers or all these are integers, but they do not need to be integer. They can be list also. They can be another dictionary. They can be string. They can be float. They can be boolean. All the values, you see all the values, these values, all these values can be either float, boolean, any data type. Literally, they can be tuples also. I can show you one example. Let's say I want juice. Fine, I want juice. So what I do is I need to add juice because juice is not there. Canteen menu, if you ask canteen menu, bhaiya, I need juice. I need juice. Juice is not there. So what I need to do, I need to add juice. So I'm not writing that juice is for, let's say, 20 rupees. What I'll do is I'll give the three option. You will have the three option that I'll write a dictionary, another dictionary, and I'll say there's a small juice for, let's say, 20 rupees. The medium juice, M is for medium. Medium juice is, let's say, for 40 rupees, and the large juice is for 50 rupees. Now, if I execute this, this dictionary will be appended or will be added in the juice section in the canteen menu. So if you print canteen menu, juice will not have one number. Juice has three options. So juice cup value dekho. Juice value is another dictionary. Juice value is another dictionary. Similarly, you can also store list. List is basically like the array. You can store 20, 40, 50. 20 is like small, it is medium, it is large. It's up to you. Right? Now, if you want a juice, if you ask canteen bhaiya, I need juice. Give me the price of juice, right? If you ask, give me the price of juice. So canteen bhaiya will say that there are three juices, right? They will not give you the direct price. He will ask you which juice you need, you want. So he'll give you three options: large, medium, small. Right? So you say that I want medium one. So again, you give another parenthesis, square parenthesis, and here you will write medium one. And now you will get the price, like 40 rupees. Right? So this is the idea about the dictionary. Right? So this is what you can do with the dictionary. Correct? I think that yeah, this is it. This is it about dictionary. There are a lot of other things that you obviously can do with dictionary. Lot of things are there, but maybe if you write this thing like let's say canteen menu dot. You see, a lot of functions are there. Like copy is there, clear is there, from key, get, item, keys, all these things, right? You see, the lot of functions. I'm not going into the lot of all the functions right now, but you see, if you want to get all the items, you can get keys, like all the food price, like the food items. You can write canteen menu dot keys. It will give you all the keys, like samosa is there, pizza is there, burger is there, fruits are there, juice is there, right? You're getting all the fruits or all the items in the canteen menu, right? So you are getting all the keys. Similarly, you can get the values also, like the prices only, but that will not make sense. But you will get them in a combined way, like you can write item canteen menu dot items. So what this item will do, so you see, it is giving you a dictionary, it is giving you a list where it is storing them in a tuple, like samosa 20, samosa 10, it is stored in a tuple. You see, tuple. Why tuple? Because it is starting and ending with the parenthesis. Again, pizza 100 tuple, burger 25 tuple, fruits 40 tuple, juice and another list, another dictionary is in the tuple. So that's how you can get items. Right. So nothing very fancy, right? So I hope you got the basic idea about how you can do Python programming. If you have any doubt, maybe you can let me know via email or by sending an email. This was like the basic Python, right? This is not like the advanced thing in Python. You understand how Python works, how syntax, how we write syntax, right? How things works under the Python. So these are the basic Python idea. So so this is what I have to share. I had to share in the Python basic section, right? So maybe we can move to the another section or uh, another part where we learn about web scraping. Okay, let me just see if there is any update from our professors. So, ma'am, is there any update? Like, or should I continue?
Sir, right now we don't have any query in the chat box.
Okay.
So if you have something, you just continue with your content.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Okay, so I think then we can continue a session. And the second topic that we are going to do is the web scraping, right? So maybe I create this text cell and I'll in the bold in the heading I'll write web scraping. So anyone has any idea what is web scraping? Maybe just small idea. Okay, so web basically means the website that we understand. So simple, right? Website or maybe like the whole internet or world wide web kind of that. What is scraping? Scraping means extracting the data or getting the information from any website. So that's what scraping means, right? Scraping internet or scraping the data from the website. Now, why is it important? Because like I actually teach machine learning and data science, and since this is a recent or this is like trending topic these days, like we say hot topic, right? Machine learning, data science, deep learning, or AI, all these stuffs, and even the data is the primary goal for all the companies, right? Data, they need data. Somehow they just need data. So data is so important these days. So let's understand how we can get the data from any website, right? So that we will try to do, and why we actually need data, so that we can analyze the data. That's known as data analysis, right? We can visualize, we can create some pictures, we can represent or present that data in a format of graph like bar graph, pie chart, or scatter plot, histogram, using data visualization. And then exploratory data analysis is one topic that we can perform, and everything it is covered in the data science domain that we can perform using Python, right? So web scraping is also part of sometimes like data analytics or like data science, where we actually need to get the data, right? If we do not have data, how would we do the data science? So that's why we are just looking at a very basic, again, a mini project on the web scraping part, right? So let's understand how to do that, how to get the data from any website. Okay, so the website that we will scrape or will get the data from is called, okay, so if you go to Google and if you search for codes to scrape, just search for codes to scrape, right? You need to search for codes to scrape, and this is the first website that you will get. Website name is codes to scrape. Just go to this website, right? Now you see there are a lot of codes. First code is Albert Einstein, right? The world as we have created it is a process of thinking. It cannot be changed without thinking about it. The second is J.K. Rowling, right? Third, again, Albert Einstein, Jane Austen, right? You see lot of quotes are there. And then there's a next page also, right? There's a next page. So if you click on the next page, you'll go to the next page, simple. And this is the second code or like the second page of the code. lot of codes. Then next page, let's go to the next page, let's go to the next page. You see there are a lot of pages, right? Lot of pages are there. So let's understand how many pages are there. If I go to, let's say, 50 page, so the page number 50 does not exist, right? Or maybe like if I go to page number 10, so 10 exists. If I go to page number 11, 11 doesn't exist, right? So only page number 10 till page number 10 exists. So how many pages we have? We have somewhere around like 10 pages, and each page will have something like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, I guess 10 codes. Maybe it can be different, right? Maybe like if I look at the page number 2, I hope you understand like how I'm navigating between different pages. So over there, if you look at the URL, maybe let me just see if it is visible in the YouTube or not. Okay, it is visible. If you look at this URL, if you look at this URL, this page number. So if I write page number 1, it will take me to page number 1. As simple as that. If you write page number 2, it will take me to page number 2, right? And then there are some codes. So we need to extract these codes. That's what we want to do, right? This is what we want to do. So this is the idea, or this is the idea or the motive of our project, web scraping, so that we can there you go. See, another way how you can do is, maybe I'll open the text editor in my laptop. You can open Notepad, you can open anything, text editor, right? Or maybe let me open the Sublime. I can open something like this, and then I'll start copying everything. Let me start copy everything. Let me copy this. This is first code. Then let me copy second one. This is second code. But this is not trivial, right? How would you copy if you have 1,000 codes? You cannot do this. So let's write a Python script that can actually store or actually take all the files, right? Or maybe take all the codes and convert it into file. That would be interesting part, right? So this is what we have to do, and let's understand how to do this. And by the way, like the web scraping actually takes the information, or it needs the knowledge about HTML. If you know about HTML, right? So HTML is, we used to study HTML in class 7th, 8th, or maybe 10th or 12th, right? Or maybe in college, whatever time you have studied, but you must know about the HTML. HTML is like prerequisites. I'm expecting everyone know the basic HTML, not the advanced one, just the basic, very basic. What is HTML? That's it, or some basic tag. So let's start writing the code, and let's see how we can do this. Okay. So what we will do over here is, we will use a library called Beautiful Soup, right? This is a library called Beautiful Soup. I can write library. What is the library name? Library name is Beautiful SOUP, right? Beautiful Soup. So if you search for Beautiful Soup, let's search for Beautiful Soup. Like really interesting library it is on Python. So it says a Beautiful Soup. It is an HTML parser, and Beautiful Soup is a Python package for parsing HTML and XML documents. Right now we are talking about HTML, but XML can also be parsed, and which is also useful for web scraping, right? So if you look at this website, the first website or the first link that appears is the Beautiful Soup documentation. If you go to this website, you will understand about Beautiful Soup. So how to start Beautiful Soup? This is a quick start, right? So how to write code? From here, I can write from BS4 import Beautiful Soup, something like that, right? So how to get the title, how to get the name, how to get the string, all this, how to get the paragraph. So how to extract the data from a web page, right? How to install Beautiful Soup. But you don't need to install Beautiful Soup. Why? Because you're working on Google server. Google server has all the libraries installed, but you don't need to install. Okay. Everything is there, right? Everything is there. You can also look at this page. For example, let's say that no, I guess this is it, right? So if you want to read this page, you can go, right? This is kind of a lengthy page. It might take like 1 week to read, but if you read the whole page, you will be master in Beautiful Soup, right? But we don't read the documentation. We can totally avoid that, right? We don't need to read this. let's understand some basic functions. Like we can understand functions like over here maybe. We'll see. Let's see, right? Okay. So let's first import beautiful soup. Importing library is important because library is something else. Library is someone else code. I need to import library. Importing beautiful soup. So how do I import beautiful soup? I will write from bs4. bs4 is like beautiful soup 4, right? Because the fourth version. Beauty from bs4 import beautiful soup. Now b should be capital over here. B should be capital. B and S because of the class name, right? Class as in like the class and object, that one class. Let's execute. Okay, one more library that we need is we need import requests. Now why do we need this request? This is not request, this is requests. S also, right? Now why do we need this? Because we want data from internet, right? We want data from internet. So do you know what happens when you write www.google.com? Anyone know what will happen if I press the enter? If I press enter, what happens? If I write www.google.com, if I press enter, what happens? Most of you would be saying that it opens a Google homepage, right? But what is happening, actually happening, if you look at the server and the client architecture, let's say this is your machine, this is your laptop, and this is a Google server. This is the Google server. When you write www.google.com and you press enter in the URL, it sends something known as get request, GET, get request. It sends something like get request. It says that I want to access the Google homepage. Will you give me the permission? Google server checks few things and then says that okay, I will give you the permission. You can you can look at the Google homepage, and then it will send you the response, right? And this is known as request and response cycle. You send request and the server will say okay, I'm sending you the response. Now sometime in response it might give you the invalid. You say that your internet is not stable, I will not let you check the Google page, something like that. Okay, so we will send the request first and then we get the response. So let's do one thing. So the website that we have is this. So let's go to page number 1 only. Let's go to page number 1 over here, and let's copy the whole path. Okay, I have copied this path. I will write it as a URL. So URL is a variable and I will pass it over here. This is my URL, correct? This is a URL, that's it. Okay, what I'll do is I will execute it. Okay, URL is there, correct? Now I will send a get request. When you basically send a get request to this codes.toscrape.com/page1, when you send a get request, you get this page. You get this whole HTML page like this one, right? You get this page. So if you look at like if you right click over here and you look at view page source, this is the HTML. This is the whole HTML for this page, right? This is the HTML for this page. So we want this HTML. So how do I get this HTML? When you send a get request, that's only when you get this data, no? So what I'll do is I will send a get request. Now this library request, since this library is used to interact in the internet with the internet, so library called request will be used to get the data from internet. So I'll write requests dot and I'll wait. I'll wait for the function. So let me see that do I have a get function? Yes, there is a function called get. Where is that? Oh, yeah, this one. So there is this get function. If you check what this function actually does, it says it send a get request, and that's what we want. No, we want to send a get request. Simple. But where we want to send the get request? We want to send get request to this URL. So I'll say that URL. That's it. And let me execute this. So it will send you the get request and it gives you the response. So I'll call it as response. Simple, no? Okay. Now, if you look at this response, you are not getting anything. It says response 200. I'm saying, okay. By the way, 200 is the status code, which says that you got the result. But I'm not looking at I can't see the result. From where I get the result? So the result you will get if you write response dot, and you see there are few functions, right? So the function that we need is text. response.text. Just write this thing, execute it, and you will get the whole HTML. You see, this is the same HTML. This is the same HTML that you have seen over here. So you are getting the same HTML that you will get when you click, when you press enter on this web page. You're getting the same HTML code, right? That's interesting, right? That's interesting part. So what I will do is I will create, now I will use the parser. I will use the parser from Beautiful Soup. I will say soup or something like this. I will create soup object of Beautiful Soup. So I'll use Beautiful Soup and I will pass response.text inside it. Now it will create a soup object. All the soup object will be the same thing, will be the same data, but it will look nicer, right? It is look pretty, as you can see. The response.text was like the jumbled text, the jumbled HTML. That was just basic plain string. We don't want plain string, we want soup object. Why do we want soup object? What is soup object? Soup object is known as the parser. Parser. Now, what is parser, you might ask, right? Parser is basically, for example, if you want to get any element, for example, title, if you want to get the title, you can get the title if you have the parser object. So the parser object will help you to iterate or to move in the in the HTML code. Since this is a HTML parser, web scraper, the Beautiful Soup can be HTML parser or XML parser, right? Since this is a HTML parser, it will help you to iterate or to move up or down in the HTML code. That's it. So this is your soup object. That's it. I don't want to print it. I just wanted to show you this is how soup object look like, but maybe I can just ignore this, right? So let's remove this. Let's remove this. I don't want to. I don't want, right? Or then what I can do is, let's come to this. This is my website. Now, if you look at the title of this website is called Codes to Scrape. You looking at this, right? The title is Codes to Scrape. So if I want to extract the title, what I can do is I will write over here. I will write over here soup dot find, and then what is the HTML tag? Find, what this find function will do. Find will give you the data in HTML tag. So for example, if I want the title, I will write title, soup.find title. So wherever you get the title, something like this, wherever you have the title, you see over here, wherever you have the title, you will get this whole tag. And that's easy, right? So this is how we can get the title. And if you want only the text data inside it, you do not want this thing. You do not want this title, If you only want to get the text, you will write dot text. As simple as that. Plain, right? Very easy. So let's do more thing. No. So if you look at the website, there's basically a thing called this heading, codes to scrape, and most probably it should be H1. H1 basically means the heading one. Let me just see that. Okay. Do we have H1 anywhere? Do we have H1? Do we have H1? H1. I cannot see H1, but most probably it should be there. Most probably it should be there if I have H1 anywhere. I cannot see. I cannot see H1, right? So if I try to get H1, I cannot see H1 anywhere. But if I try to see soup.find H1, if I have H1, then I will get, otherwise I will not get. Okay, so there is one H1. You see, there's H1. Okay, I got this H1 over here. You see, this is H1. Look at this, right? So I got this H1. Simple. Now inside this H1, there's a text called codes to scrape. I want to get this text. What you will do? You will write dot text. So if you want to find the element or the data from anywhere, you will do the find, right? You'll find that element. As simple as that. And then if you want to get the text, you will write dot text. Simple. And by the way, do you know why this slash n is coming? Why this slash n is coming? Because there are two spaces, like one space at the top and then codes to scrape, then one space at the bottom as well. If you print it, no, if you print it, you will get the spaces also. Like if you will get the new line. You see, there's a new line over here, and there's also a new line over here. So you got the idea. Let's do more thing. Let's actually scrape the codes. No, I want these codes. I want these codes. No, let's scrape this. So we need to understand the structure of HTML, how this website has been built by someone who has created. We need to understand that. So if you just right click and if you do inspect element, if you see inspect element, let's click on this. Let's click on this inspect element, right? So let's take this button over here. You see this button, I'll show this button. Click on this button one time. This will be selected. Now what you need to do is, there is a box. There should be a box. There should be something common between one code, second code, third code. There should be a common structure, and that common structure I need to find. So what I will do is, maybe I can hover over it. Just take hover over it, and if you click this, you see there's something unique, that all this complete box is basically this one: div class code, div class code, item scope is empty, item type is whatever there. Now if I just, because you see, if I hover over this, the first box is selected. If I hover over this, second box is selected. If I hover over the third one, third box will be selected. You see, if I hover over the next one, the next box will be selected. So these div are actually responsible for these HTML code, right? So maybe if I expand the first div, let me just expand the first div, and then the first thing I see is this span, this thing called span. You see over here, right? And actually this span is responsible for the text, for the code. There's also second span, but second span is responsible for, you see, second span, the second span, this span is responsible for the author name. And then there is another div. You see, there is another div, and this div is responsible for the tags, for the tags. So what I am getting is, why, okay, let's understand why we are looking at the structure, because it is very important. If we understand the structure, then we can say that the first span will always be, the quote, will always be the quote. The second span will always be the second span will always be the author. And the third one is div. Third one is not span. This is div. This is second span. This is first span number one. And the outside there is a main div. There is a big div. There is a div. And this div has a property. It has a property called, it has a class as equal to quotes. It has class equal to quotes. Now you can quotes, just quote, not quotes, just quote, QUOTE. Now if you look at any div, the outer div will have class quote. The inner span, the first span will have the quote, actual quote. The second span will have the title, the author name. The div will have the tags. Maybe you can look at the second one. First one we understand. Let's look at the second one. This is the second, no? Let's look at the second. Again, the outer div has, you see, the outer div has div.quote. You understand over there? You see div.quote 750 into 108.417. This is a height and width. We can ignore that. But if you look, div.quote. Why? Because you have a quote class. Now, if you click over it, if you expand it from here, you see the first span. The first span is basically, your text or the quote. And by the way, this span also has a class called text. If you want it, this span also has a text class. The second span is basically the author, which is J.K. Rowling. If you expand, you see there's a J.K. Rowling, right? J.K. Rowling. And then there's a div that will have the tags, right? But if we want quotes, then the first span will be responsible. So if you look at the first span, it has the quotes. It has a quote. It is our choice, Harry, that shows all this. So what we will do, why we are looking at the structure, we will say that find all div. I'll say find all div. find all div that has class equal to quote. Now it will not give me just the first one. It will not just give me first one, but all of these, all 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these 10 in a single page, right? So let's understand. Let's write the code. If I write soup dot find, and what I need to find, what is the type, what is the, let me just again show you, what is the title, or what is the tag. The tag name is div. I need to find div, right? So I'll write soup.find div. But there's another thing. I can pass the attributes. I don't want to find any div. I only want to find that div that will have the class is equal to quote. Because you see, the first div is also there. But I don't want to find this div. No, there's no purpose of this div. What I will do is from this, I don't want this. I want to find the div that will have the class is equal to quote. So what I'll do is I'll write soup dot find div, and then over here I can pass the attributes. So for the attributes, I'll give a dictionary. You see, attribute is a dictionary, and in the dictionary I'll write the property. What is the property? Class. And what will be the value of class? It's a quote. So I hope you understand this, that I want to pass some extra attributes where the property is class and the value of that class is the quote. Now, if I execute this, it will give me the HTML code. But always remember, since you are doing the find, and find will give you only one. Find is not giving you all the divs, all these boxes. Find will only give you the first one, this one. Find will give you the only first one, because if you want to look at it, just look at this. So it will give you from this to this. That's it. Right? It will give you this part. It will only give you this part, as you can see. It is not giving me all the divs. If you want to find all the divs, what you will do? Find underscore all. There's a function called find underscore all. You will use this, right? And now it will find all the divs that will have class is equal to quotes. So let's execute this now. And now, very important thing, what is the data structure that you're getting? So can anyone tell me what will be the data structure if it is starting with this square bracket? If it is starting with a square bracket, which data structure it would be? Will it be tuple, set, dictionary, or a list? It will be a list, right? Now list always contain multiple elements. You know, list is like an array that contain multiple elements, right? So this list is contain 10 divs, right? The code, HTML code for, so basically what it will contain, HTML code for div1, then HTML code for div2, HTML code for div3, till HTML code for div10. How can I confirm this? If you want to really confirm it, maybe let me create a variable called all divs. Let me just write all divs, divs. Fine. If I want to write, if I can simply write all divs. So all divs will have the data of a list of all the 10 divs. That's it, right? So if you want to check what is the type of all divs, it will be list, because why it is giving result set. But we can expect it as a result also, list also. Okay, so result set is basically an attribute, or basically a class from beautiful soup. But what we can expect it is a list, right? If you write L0, if you write 0, it will be accessible. The first element will be accessible. If you write -1, the last element will be accessible, right? If you want to find the length, how many elements are there? You can write length of all divs. And it is 10 because there are 10 codes, right? Okay. So let me just pick one div first. How do I pick the first div? Can anyone tell me? How do I pick the first div? There are list of 10 divs. How do I pick the first div? First element. So I'm writing the sample div. I'm calling it as a sample div. And I can write all divs 0. As simple as that. And now if you print the sample div, this would be any one div. I'm just taking randomly, right? First div. So this is the data. Now inside this, you do not want the complete this rubbish thing, right? This is like garbage. I only want the span, this span, right? I only want this span. So what you will do is you will write find span. You will write find span. So you will get this code. Now you are getting the whole span first, and then quote, and then span close. If I want to like remove this span and this open span also, what I can do, I hope everyone know, I just want to get the text. No, I just want to get the text, just simple get text. That's it. And this is how you can get the first quote. This is only one quote, just remember. I will write it as, maybe I can write it as quote. Simple, no? Just write it as quote, simple quote. And if you want to print quote, just simple print quote. It will print the first quote, which is Albert Einstein, the world as we have created, it's the process of our thinking. Simple. अभी हमने एक ही कोड फाइंड किया है. Let's find the 10 codes, all the 10 codes. What I will do is, I already have the HTML. I already have the HTML for 10 codes, 10 divs. I just need to iterate over them. Right? What I will do for one div in all divs. For one divs in all divs, what basically one div means? What is this one div? I can show. What is this one div? What is this one div? Let me just show. Let me just show. What is this one div? One div is basically, see, what is this one div? Okay, if I write 100. Okay, so what is this one div? We are iterating over all the 10 divs. So this is the first div. I will perform the text extraction on this one. Then second div, I will perform the text extraction on this one. Then the third div, I'll do the same. Fourth, I'll do the same. Fifth, I'll do the same. For all the 10 divs, I'll do the same code. What code? That we have just written over here. This one, sample.find.span. Sample div.find span.text. That's it. Right? So if I ignore everything, and if I write something like quote is equal to like this one, let's copy this. If I write, and instead of sample div, this is one div. This is one div, right? Sample div was earlier one variable. Now I need to write one div. Something like element, no? Something like element. You can also write element. Also variable. It's just a variable. Whatever variable you want to use, you can use. And now let's print. Quote. Let's print quote. So hopefully it should print all the 10 quotes, as you can see. Right? It is printing all the 10 quotes. Wonderful, no? Correct. So right now it is printing only 10. What I have to do for getting 10 pages and 10 quotes for each page? You see, there are 10 pages. No, there are 10 pages. Next. This was only one page. We got the data for one page. That's fine. That's fine. But what if we have to do out for the 10 pages? The thing that you have done for one page, you need to do the same for 10 pages. Just use the loop. Just use the simple loop. No, use simple loop. That's it. Okay, so let's understand. Let me just put a text over here, and I will write extract the data, something like this. Extract data for 10 pages, right? For one pages, what we have done, let me just show you. We had the URL. हमारे पास URL था. We had the URL, right? Over here, page number 1 is there, but next time we need page number 2. Next time we need page number 3. Next time we need page number 4, right? We need this thing. And by the way, this slash can be omitted. If you ignore this slash, that will be perfectly fine. Then next up, page number 5, page number 7, page number 10, so on. So what I'll do is, I will not write page number, any page number. I will not write any page number. I'll simply write URL, or maybe you can call it as a base URL. This is your base URL. Fine. Now what you can do, if you check the base URL, if you print the base URL, this is the base URL. It does not have any page number, right? But if you add 1 to it, like in the string, if you add 1, it will become page number 1. If you add 2 to it, it will become 2. If you add 3 to it, it will become 3. So on and so forth, right? So what you will do is, you will not add 1, 2, 3 manually. you will iterate for I in range 1 to 11. Why we are putting 11? Because it will take till 10. It will not take 11, as everyone know, right? And I will write string. Since I will be integer, so integer I need to convert to string first, and I'll write I. So this is called type conversion. I was the integer value like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I need to convert it to string, no? So I'll write base URL plus string of I, and now all the URL has been corrected, or maybe like created, right? All the URLs have been created. Now this will be my URL. This will be the page URL. I'll call it as page underscore URL. This will be the page URL, and you can also page URL if you want to print. Let's print. Let's print page URL. It will print the same thing. But now let's do the same thing that you have done for one pages. So one pages from where we started. For one pages, we first send a get request. Always remember, the first idea is send a get request. So let's copy this code. Let's copy this code and paste it over here, right? And instead of URL, what you have to send is page URL, because you want to send the URL to you want to send the get request to this page, or next time this page, next time this page. So what is the variable name? This page, the variable name is page URL. So page URL. Cool. Now you got the response. What you have to do after response? Let's see. After response, you need to create a soup object, right? You need to create the soup object. So let's copy this. Let's copy this. I have copied. Let's paste it. After this, okay, I have pasted again. Let's see what after this. Okay, soup object we have done. Fine. Title we don't want. H1 we don't want. We want all the divs, right? For one page, there are 10 divs. For second page, there are 10 divs. For third page, there are 10 divs. For example, I am on the fifth page. For the fifth page, I need to find all the divs. So I need this. So what it is basically doing, it is finding all the divs. Cool. So let's copy this and let's paste it over here. And just see how I'm putting it in the indentation, correct indentation. You see, I'm putting everything in just one line because they are inside the for loop. That's why they need to have the correct indentation. You see the indentation, you see, right? Okay. After this, let's see what we did. We check the length of divs that we don't want. We obviously know there will be 10 divs. Then we created sample div that we want, that we don't want. So we can just use this code. We can use the same code, this code, right? What it is doing, it is finding the code. It is finding the code from all those 10 divs, right? It is finding the code from all those. It is finding the code from all those 10 divs. So let's paste it over here. And just one more thing now, just look at it. There's a for loop. Now you cannot keep it empty. Whatever you write it, it should be inside the for loop, no? So you need to keep them inside this for loop. You need to keep them inside those. This is individual for loop that is inside another for loop. So this is a main for loop, and this for loop is inside this for loop. So, and these two lines are inside this for loop. I hope you're getting. So what I'm saying is, by the way, this code is getting codes from 10 div, right? So this will run for 10 times, but this loop will run for 10 times. Why? Because there are 10 pages. So how many times this loop will run, or these two lines will be run? These will be run by 100, 10 into 10, that will become 100 times. I hope you're getting the point, right? Because this will run for 10 times, right? This will run for 10 times if there is one iteration, but there are 10 iterations. So this will run for 10 into 10 times. Now if you execute it, let's just simply execute this and let's see what happens. Okay, so you can see now, you see, first it is printing basically the page URL, then it is printing 10 codes for that page, then second page URL printing 10 different codes from that page. Page number 3, 10 different codes. Page number 4, 10 different codes. Page number 5, page number 6, page number 7, page number 8, page number 10. All the 10 pages and all the 10 codes from each page, right? That's how we can actually get our data from internet, right? This was one example. And let's say that you want to put them in a file. But for that, you need to also understand file handling, no? File handling that is there in Python or C++. You know file handling, right? So file handling is also there in Python. So maybe what I can do is I can create a variable or a diction or a list like all my like all codes. I'll write all codes and it will be empty. It will be empty list. And every time you're getting a code, just append that code, not all div, all codes. Append that code to all codes, right? Let's execute this. And now at the end you will have a list of all the codes. You will have the list of all the codes. And this list, if you check what is the length of this, most probably it should be 100 as expected. If you check what is the all codes, it will have codes of 100. You see, there are 101. There are hundreds, right? There are 100 codes. So yeah, this is what I wanted to share. This was our mini project. I hope you like the idea about the web scraping and how Python can be used as web scraping to get the data. And not only the text, you can also extract images, right? You can extract the images also. So that you can also do. If I somehow create a file, I can do that. I mean, let's do that, no? Uh, let's try to do that. Let's try to create a file. Right? Let's try to create a file. This is basically string to write on file. Very absurd name, but this will be the variable that I need to write in file, right? So what I'll do, what I'll do is I'll create a new file. So this is how we, by the way, like if you don't get it, just forget about it. So this is file handling in Python. File handling in Python. What I'm doing is I'm creating a new file, new text file, and writing the content or writing all codes to the file, right? So what I'll do is with open and the file name, let's say mycodes.txt. This is the file name I want to keep as f, and I need to write f.write string to write on the file. That's it. Now if I execute this, what will happen? You'll see nothing happened. In fact, you got oh, okay. So one issue that I got is I need to write in which mode. I need to open the file in which mode. For example, mode by default is read. I don't want to read this file. I want to write to this file. So what I say is mode is W. That's it. Now if I execute it, you see what happens. Nothing happened. Why? This something happened. What happened? It created a file. And now where I can see the file. If you click on this button, files, you see there will be a file called my codes. You see, simple. You can download this file also, no? You can click on this 3 dots and click on this download. This will be downloaded to your local system. Right? To your computer like this. Fine. So maybe I'll open this and I'll show the files. All the codes are there. Right? You see, all the codes are in the different lines. Like the line number 1 is this, line number 2 is this. Right? You see, all the codes are in different lines. I hope you got the idea, right? So there are total of 100 lines and there are thus 100 codes, right? So now this file is in your local system, right? This is in your local system. You can do whatever you want to do. Maybe text analysis or text extraction or creating a machine learning model, data science, using this text for maybe something else, for anything that you can do. you can do anything, right? So yeah, this is what I wanted to share. Maybe what I can do is I can share this whole notebook with you, so that if you want to work with this notebook, so how do I share? Over here is there's a button called share, right? There's a button called share, and if I click on this button and copy the link, now I can copy the link, right? I have copied the link. Okay, done. So let me just go to the chat for Zoom. Okay, I'm in the Zoom chat, and I've given this link in the Zoom chat. Maybe all the students, if they want this link, you can ask your professors to give you this link, right? So maybe anyone, if any teacher can take this URL, copy and maybe paste it in WhatsApp group, or maybe email IDs, and maybe send them, right? That would be fine. That would be nice. So if you just simply click on this URL, you will be moved into this file, and you can see the complete code what we have done in today's session. Yeah. So this is what I wanted to share. Obviously, like if the students are watching the session maybe later on, or if you're watching it right now, you might get some doubts as well. So if you have any doubt, maybe you can send me an email, or what you can do is you can send me your message or your text on LinkedIn, right? So you can simply send me your text on LinkedIn, like I wanted to do this stuff, and I'm getting this error. Or maybe if you want to discuss some other stuff related to Python, like how to learn Python, what are the best resources, or what all things you can do with Python, maybe like machine learning, data science, right? Other stuffs. If you want to learn in Python, you can let me know. We can have the discussions over there, right? If that is fine. So my LinkedIn URL is this, right? So you can maybe go and check this, and maybe like you can simply send me a connection request, or maybe like the message that you want to send. Cool. So yeah, this is it. This is it from my side. This is what I wanted to share. A very small homework I can give you is you can again go to google.com and search. This time search for books to scrape. Earlier we used codes to scrape. This time check for books to scrape. And let's come to this one. And you see there are a lot of books. The book name, the book price, and the book image. Book image, book name, book price. So maybe try to get all these book prices. No, no, not price. Okay, you can get the prices, but also let's try to get the book name. If you click on the next, it will take you the next page. You see page number 2, and then again there are a lot of books. Similarly, if you go to page number 3, let's go to page number 3. You go to page number 3. So there are total of 1,000 results, 1,000 books. So you need to extract the book title or the book name. So this would be your homework, right? Or kind of assignment that you can do. Do let me know if you are able to do this assignment using that mail, or maybe like you can send me on LinkedIn, right? If you are able to do, if you are not able to do, I'll provide you the solution as well. That it's up to you. And yeah, I hope you like the session. If there's any feedback, just let me know again, right? That you can let me know using that same LinkedIn message. And any other further discussion, you can connect me on maybe using email ID or the same LinkedIn. Like that. That's what I wanted to share. So thank you very much. So this is all from my sides, and now over to you, the professors.
Thank you so much, sir. The session was so nice and so informative. Now over to you, Rupali ma'am. Rupali ma'am, for vote of thanks.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Department of Information and Technology, IIMT College of Engineering, Greater Noida, I take this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks to those who directly or indirectly contributed to this workshop on technology transfer. At the outset, I thank our Director of Engineering, Dr. Gaurav Sinha, Deputy Director, Dr. Manoj Rana, Head R&D and IIC President, Dr. Sanjay Pachori, HOD IT Department, Dr. Mahendra Sharma, and esteemed guest, Mr. Mohit, as he graced us with his presence and shared his knowledge with students. A special thanks to all faculty members for their unflinching support and coordination. Last but not the least, I thank you to all the students for active participation. Again, thanks everyone for making this session successful. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. The session is really great, very informative, very knowledgeable session.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, all the professors, all the students, those who have attended and being patient till the end. So,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much, everyone. So, we'll
Thank
definitely
you.
see you for more future events in future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.